Pack your bags, let's go.
I'm Jodi.
And I'm Kandy.
And we go places.
And we want to take you with us.
And this time we went to Santorini, Greece.
Not sure if you want to go there. Well, you want to go to Santorini maybe, but not what we're talking about today.
We are going to talk about what I call the donkey death path.
Yes.
Because literally, I thought I was going to die. And at the very least, I thought my vacation was going to be over. While we did this, the mantra playing in my head was, thank God I have insurance that might cover the fact that the rest of my vacation might not happen.
Yeah. And honestly, like we didn't even take any video as we were going down because I just wanted to survive. I wouldn't let go of my son, who like I was leaning on to get down this walk of death.
So let's talk about what it is. I'm going to show you some pictures while, wait, let me bring this up before I do this. You don't need to see everything that's on my computer screen, although it's nothing to get excited about. I'm just going to bring it up first.
All your passwords.
Exactly. All of my.
You're gonna lose your identity on this podcast.
Okay. Let me share my screen. See, we are authentic. This is like, you could tell we're unscripted, right? Okay, here we go. Share. Let's see how this is going to work. Okay. Now you can see my application. Is my application going to get bigger? No, now you get to see all my pictures. Can you see all my pictures right now? I don't want to do that. I don't have anything that you shouldn't have. Don't worry. It's okay. But why is this not? Oh, I know why. Okay, never mind. Let me bring this up. Photos. Let's see if this works now. Okay, here we go.
Oh, just go forward or backwards, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it won't let me make it bigger. Okay, that's weird. I have to make it bigger.
It's pretty big. I can see it. That was it. I remember the day that we embarked upon our walk of death. And I will say we started with a very positive attitude and we got this. We can do it. So
let's talk about how we got there in the first place.
Start at the beginning.
Yes.
Very fine place to start. Yes. Go.
So we were told initially when we were booking the cruise and all of that about Santorini that there are two ways to get down to the port from Fira, I guess is how you pronounce it. I'm not 100% sure.
To get up and to get down.
And to get down. Mm-hmm. And we weren't going to have to get up. But to get down, it was either cable cars or the donkey path. So, and the donkeys are abused and I just didn't want to do that to the animals. So we didn't want to take the donkey path. So we made sure to book an excursion that would take us directly to the ship and we wouldn't have to encounter anything with the donkeys or anything, the donkey path or anything like that.
Which we booked on our cruise. And just a little tip to anybody, when you're booking your excursions, I would recommend taking a screenshot of all the fine print because things can change, which we found out. And so having that upon booking, we've now kind of learned that's something we always need to do.
So I'm not sharing anymore.
No. So we booked this excursion, believing that we were going to be brought back to where we were tendered from the ship. You do get tendered in Santorini. And so there is like a little port at the bottom and then the city at the top. And so we believed we were going to be brought where we were started our excursion is where we were going to be brought back to. So that's how we believed we booked it. So we didn't even plan on having to get down from Fira. So we were going on a catamaran. We had our swimsuits, covers, our sandals, and we were ready to go.
And for some reason, my computer is giving me fits and it won't even let me get to the next photo or anything like that. It just kind of froze.
That's okay. You can bring them up later.
Yeah.
So we went on this excursion, which was nice. It was a really nice excursion on a catamaran. We were in the water and we went from one side of the island, I think, to another.
Oh,
And
the
then-
catamaran was amazing.
Yeah, catamaran was amazing. We loved it. And then we found ourselves at the end of it, waiting for a bus to come pick us up, which there was some confusion, and the people on the excursion were like, oh, it's not coming. So they like took our whole group one place and then took us another, and we were waiting. And it had to have been 100 degrees. It was so hot. And so we're waiting. Is it coming? Isn't it coming? What's going to happen? So finally the bus arrives, it brings us back, and we end up at the top, and we're like, great. So we're like, okay, you know what? We'll take the cable car. We weren't planning on it, but that's what we'll do. So it was so crowded. I think there were 3 or 4 other ships there that day. It was crowded, and hot. And so you're like in these little streets, and it's like
They have awnings over the shops. So the awnings, to help with shade, also hold in the heat. There's no air circulating. People and awnings and heat and people shopping while they're in line for the cable car. There's also people shopping.
Yeah.
in a
So
narrow pathway.
we make our way over to the cable car, and there's a line and a line. It's going on, and we're like, okay. So we find out it was a 3-hour wait. Is that what it was? 3-hour wait?
2.5 at least.
2.5, 3-hour wait to get on the cable cars. And mind you, really know where to go. Just have to stand there and bake. And we're like, okay, we're troopers. We're in decent shape. Let's walk. We'll walk. We'll just kind of, we were told it was what, 15 minutes? 15, 20 minutes?
About a half an hour. They
Okay,
said it
so
could be about a
whatever.
half an hour.
It turned out to be a lot longer than we expected at the time. So we're like, okay, we can do this. Thank goodness we each purchased a bottle of water before we began the endeavor.
We
That
were
was a lifesaver.
wearing flip-flops because we were on the catamaran.
Yep.
We were wearing flip-flops. Mine had absolutely no tread, anything. They were completely flat on the bottom.
Same.
My son had slides.
Same. My son
Your
also
son
had
had
slides. Yep.
And they had a tiny bit more traction than the flip-flops did. Now, I don't know if it's really noticeable in these pictures, and it's probably not. Tell me you could see the pictures.
I can see the pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
That the stairs also are not straight. They are sloped down. So if you're walking from the top, they're sloped down as well.
Yeah.
And
they're covered in donkey poop, as well as the stones were slippery. Yeah. Like it wasn't like just a regular stair. It was like this very slippery, whatever it was, stones, some type of rock, very slippery. Because I know I slipped and fell.
There was donkey pee, which made it slipperier. And there was donkey poop, which actually was helpful, but it's donkey poop. So you don't want to be stepping in donkey poop, period.
You can kind of see the little cobblestones. Yeah. It's like, you have to be there to understand, because even seeing it before we began, I didn't realize how treacherous, I can't say the word, it was going to be. So, I guess we should have had a heads up when, upon going down, there was not too far down, there was a lady already hurt and waiting for medical attention. Which we saw a couple of those on the way down.
It was, if you, when you accidental or you start to fall or slip and you aren't prepared and you go, you heard that from top to bottom going down, because we did it a couple times. It came from us.
Yep.
But you would hear,
it's like that slip where your foot goes like this and there's nothing to catch,
to grab onto,
the balance on. So I held on to my son, who was kind enough to be very patient and walk down with me, but I was literally shaking. I mean, I guzzled my water. It took us, I'm going to say, it was at least 45 minutes, if not longer. It was because we had to go very slow, and it was very scary. It was very slippery, and it was very dirty and hot and dusty. And then all of a sudden you're walking, and then donkeys would come either from behind or forward. And see that wall that he's hanging on? Like, you would have to get over there and literally hang on it with your feet up in the air, because the donkeys, they didn't care if they were going to step on you. And so it was like, you would just like that, it would come like that, and you'd be hanging with your feet lifted to avoid the donkeys.
They would normally swing out, like you can see they're swinging out from here. I leaned up against the inside of the wall on one of them because they would come swing out, and they swung out, and then they made a beeline toward me, and they pinned me up against the wall, and the people on the donkeys were like, we're sorry. And I'm like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But I had my face pressed up against the wall, my body pressed up, and they kept coming by. And I was like,
sometimes they would hear they're swinging out because there's two sets of them. You didn't know which way they were going to swing. You had to guess. If there were two sets and there were already some, then, but otherwise you kind of had to guess which way are they going to swing when they're coming towards you.
and
That's
it was
kind of
not
at the
even
beginning
if they
when
swang
there's
one
tons.
way, they would come back and swing the other way. I found that one out.
So yeah, it was scary. It was
And
slippery.
if you look, there's nothing to grab onto on this wall. There's nothing, and the wall is probably what, like mid
Yeah.
height.
Yeah, you kind of see, the donkey, it kind of like donkey's slightly above it, but yeah.
And it's a stucco kind of material, so it's rough also. So you're hanging on it, and I know there were a couple of times where there were some water pipes, and I had grabbed onto the water pipes, and it was like 100 degrees. They were hot, they were burning, and I could feel blisters, but I wasn't going to let go. I would use those to round the corners, and then I had blisters on the palms of my hand, but I didn't care.
I have blisters on my feet. That's on the bottom of my feet, is where I had, and it wasn't like all blistered, but I had like the pads of my feet. That's where I ended up getting blisters. So, and I believe if we had had the proper footwear, like if we had known that we were going to have to walk down this path potentially, we would have brought tennis shoes. And I think it wouldn't have been an enjoyable experience, but it definitely would have made it more manageable.
Yeah.
But we weren't the only ones. So when we were on our excursion, other people on there were under the same expectation as we were, that we were being brought back to the ship. So it was a surprise. But when we looked on the excursion later, I don't know if it had been changed. Obviously it had been changed, but no longer was that stated. And it was like, that's why I would say screenshot it when you book it. And then
because honestly, this ruined Santorini for us. By the time I got to the bottom, and I was carrying our beach bag, which had all our towels, all our sunscreen stuff, everything. A beach bag is not necessarily heavy, but it's not light. And as it's 100 degrees and I'm carrying this thing, and it got very heavy I put it back and forth on my shoulders because I was really worried about my son. He went up to help you when you fell, and then he came back to help me, but I was more afraid also of him falling, trying to help me. And when we got down to the very bottom, it was so hot, and I must have looked like I felt, because
she looked like a beet.
The lady in the shop across from us ran and got a thing of paper towels soaking wet and ran out and smacked it on the back of my neck.
She made it down before I did. I will say I was definitely a little slower, and she was carrying more. My son was carrying everything along with me putting my weight on him. I don't think I would have made it down if I had to carry the bag. I really don't. I mean, it may sound dumb, but it was scary. And I was like, even with the heat and the steepness and the slippery and the donkeys and the everything, I was so afraid. I swear I was like even kind of stuttering, because it was like, I can't do this. I just, but what do? You're in the middle, you know? And it even caused on our ship, because We finally made it back. And then our ship was delayed in leaving port because of the medical situation. So someone on our cruise line, and I heard her in the beginning, she was demanding only for Disney crew to be helping her. And so, you know, they must have sent someone. We don't know exactly what happened, but we do know we were delayed because of it. And then our ship kind of moved over. And then you saw eventually, probably like an hour after we were supposed to depart, the medical team being brought back on the little boat to the ship. And so
I don't know how our sons did it. I don't know how your son was able to walk you down the whole way.
I literally leaned on him the whole,
Yeah.
like the whole way.
And I was just like, I need to get down. I need to get down. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't whatever. I am focused.
She's a little bit more fit than I am. She was able to. I was like, I had visions of that because after I fell, it was really scary, but that I was gonna slip like that and then hit my head on the back of the cobblestone. I was like, and then I'm done.
I felt really bad. I didn't say this at the time because I couldn't say this at the time. After she fell, it's like I kind of stopped to make sure she was okay. But then I just kept going because it was like, I can't stop.
Yeah, no, I didn't blame you. I was, it was tunnel vision. Yeah, it was tunnel vision.
Mission.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to do anything. And I did. I felt bad because it's like my son went up to help. Her son was helping her and they're going down very slow. And I'm just like, nope, I am my own person right now. I'm not trying
but
to.
We lived to tell the tale.
Yes. That
of
night,
Santorini.
my feet hurt so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So bad. They were throbbing. I have these wellness patches. I had to put them on. It was horrible. But yeah.
It's a cautionary tale that if you were going to Santorini, number one, if there are several other cruise ships, honestly, my husband didn't get off because he hadn't been feeling well. And I was like, yeah, he was the lucky one. I loved our excursion, but it was ruined, sadly, by the end because it was scary. It was hot. It was long. I mean, it was really scary. It wasn't just like fun scary. It was like, what's going to happen?
Right.
So, you know, looking back, hindsight's 2020, but we didn't think we were going to go down because I was like, I would have brought tennis shoes, but why? Because when we booked it, we purposely chose an excursion to avoid the cable car or the donkey path purposely because we had read warnings like, okay, it could take a long time, yada, yada, yada. And so.
And my son, when we were leaving for the excursion, he had tennis shoes. And I'm like, why are you bringing tennis shoes? We're on a catamaran. You're just going to have to take them off and they're bulky and all that. So when we got back to the ship, he was telling me, I had the right idea. He didn't bring them, which he blamed me. But he's like, see, you should have listened to me. Tennis shoes, yes. Tennis shoes would have helped.
It would have helped.
We're still slipping in tennis shoes too. It was slippery no matter what. It was extra slippery in what we did. But in tennis shoes, it wouldn't have been like, there was some man from a running club jogging down them. Don't know how he did it. I have no idea, but
very, very balanced. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think the cruise ships should even go there just because it's so limited. There's 6 cable cars. That's it. It's a little string of 6 that'll bring people up and then bring people down. And so I think, what do they say? Like 6 people in each one, something like that.
Oh yeah, that
whatever it is. So it's very, very limited. And you get 4 or 5 cruise ships on there. There's so many other Greek islands to go to that you can go on a catamaran. You know what I mean? That have all the same offerings that Santorini does. And so we went to Mykonos. We'll tell you about that later. Much better experience. And even Athens. And so I don't know. I would skip Santorini. That's sad to say.
I wish I would have attached my GoPro to my shoulder going down so you guys could have seen, because words cannot stress. And it wasn't just the 2 of us. Again, you're hearing it. We were hearing it all over the place.
Oh yeah. People were very upset. People that had to go down or had to wait 3 hours. We had some companions that we had traveled with, and it was a person was a little bit more elderly who wasn't able to walk down, and they told us they had to wait 3 hours and that it was super hot. So she had found a place for her mom to kind of sit in some little shaded area or little cafe or something. But that even for them, it was like awful because that heat can really get to people, you know? And so it didn't feel safe between the people that had fallen. I'm sure there were other nightmare stories out there. But that's just our experience with
We want
the
to share with you.
donkey trail of death.
So that when we go places and experience things like this, so that you don't have to,
Yes.
or that you can make the educated guess if you want to. And if you are going to Santorini and you do take the donkey walk of death, let us know. Let us know your experience, because we want to know how you did it and if it was easy. and
it was very,
why.
very stinky too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And your shoes are going to have donkey pee and donkey poo on them. So you need to clean them off on
That's
the
like
bottom.
a little rhyme. Donkey pee
Yes.
and donkey poo.
Donkey
Well,
pee
that's
and
our story.
And we're sticking to it.
Yes.
And I also, we have uploaded the Santorini video of the catamaran and all that. I'm going to try, I'm not sure if I know how to attach it to the end of this, but if not, go back and watch it. It's a couple of videos back, and then you can get to see the pretty part of Santorini.
Yeah, and that, you know, I say I wouldn't do it again. I don't know. I think I talk about that donkey trail, and that to me makes everything not worth it. That was kind of the deal breaker, you know, because yeah, Santorini obviously is beautiful, and the people were like that lived there and on our excursion, they were amazing. It was the trail.
Yeah. So thanks.
Thank
Watch,
you.
like, subscribe, share, comment. We'd love to hear from you. So, and you can also email us at jodiandkandy@gmail.com.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Vacation vibes.